Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the first Sunday morning briefing of 2024. How has everyone's holiday festive period been? I hope you've had a really lovely time, and I hope you've come into 2024 with loads and loads of plans. I certainly have. I've had the most fantastic day today. I've actually been in Bristol. I drove to Bristol today and back, so it's quite a lot of time in the car, but I got quite a long way through an audiobook. I joined a book club on the premise that there would be more wine than book, and it's our first meeting on Tuesday and I haven't read much of this book, so I downloaded the audiobook, and so that's ticked off. I've got quite a way through that. But there was a group of us that went to the George Muller Museum in Bristol. So there was myself, Chloe, who is the girl with the gavel stitches, Hannah, who is Hannah Stitching, Ruthie, who is Crow's Feet Stitching, and Linda Haddon, who is the Supremo behind the Sampler Guild. We all met in Bristol to go to the last day of the Red Threads exhibition, which is an exhibition of the samplers from the Muller Orphanage in Bristol. Now, there is a permanent exhibition there, so you can go and see a permanent exhibition all about the Muller Orphanage and the work that George Muller did with the orphans and the orphanage. And there are, I think, 2 or 3 full samplers on display, and they look like they may be there all the time, along with some other bits of needlework. But they put together a separate kind of exhibition with another 8 or 9 full samplers, each with a bit of history about them, plus some of the sort of little trinkety things that the orphans there had made as well. And it was fabulous. It was really lovely to see these tiny samplers. Until you've seen one in real life, you probably just can't appreciate just how small and how tiny the stitches were. Just phenomenal. And that leads us on to the freebies actually today. If you are a member of the Bristol Sampler Facebook group, there are actually 2 Bristols that have been charted that you can actually download as a member of that group. The first one is a new one that Claudia Dutcher Kistler has charted. She also runs a website called bristolsamplers.com, and she is the world expert on Bristol samplers, and this is the one that she has most recently charted and has just come out this year, the Daniel Sisters 1875. So this is an unusual one as it was worked by 2 sisters. Lots and lots of rows and rows of borders and alphabets there. So that one has just come out and is free to download if you would like to stitch it, the whole thing or part of it. But there is also the Squirrel Bristol sampler on there, which is in the collection of the Cooper Hewitt Museum, which is that one, which is also available to download. Has that one got a year on it? 1887. So 2 slightly different styles of Bristols. Plus as well, lots and lots of reproduction companies have Bristol samplers if you're interested in stitching one. They're not a quick stitch. They are not a quick stitch. But Ruthie from Crow's Feet Stitching has got one. Hands Across the Sea have got a couple. So they are around for you to stitch should you wish to do so. But it's definitely worth a visit to the museum if you're in the area, and keep an eye out if they have another exhibition like this. It's been running since September. I think it's been the first weekend in every month, but it was fabulous. Really great to go and see. So what have I been stitching? What have I done? I've got 2 finishes and some progress and a couple of new starts, I think. So let's have a look and see what I've finished. The first thing that I finished, and if you were following my daily videos in Flossmas, you will know that I've ironed them. Is this going to be a New Year's resolution? Let's not go that far. But she says to thin them all upside down because the one I want's on the bottom. If you followed me during Flossmas, you'll know that I had the Evertote Roxy Floss Modern Folk Embroidery collaboration calendar, advent calendar. And so I spent the month of December up to the 24th stitching this. And I just had the very last bit to put in on the 24th, which so you won't have seen the finished article in the flesh. It is on a piece of 32 count Roxy Flossco Turtle Dove, I believe is the colour. And then every day we had a new floss colour, so there are 24 different floss colour, 24 different floss colours in that. And I've got lots and lots of floss left over. So I think what I'm going to do is stitch a companion piece to it using the same flosses and Jacob's Salentine's project that he's doing again with Modern Folk Embroidery. So you can order the pack, which comes with threads and fabric, I believe, or you can download the PDF. So I'm going to download the PDF because the PDF is exactly the same size as this one. And I'm going to colour it so that I use all 24 colours again and make a companion piece. It'd be nice to see if I can get another piece of this, but I'm not sure if it's one that Kerry has got as a sort of a stock item. So I may just pick something that corresponds and goes nicely with it, but it's different. So that was one of my last finishes in 2023. I also decided that I wanted my retreat pieces from 2023 finished in 2023. So I got my backside into gear and I finished the Stitch in London retreat piece. Now originally I had some ghost letters and I also had some of the ghost pirates, if you like, but I changed my mind. I took those out and I just finished it in the floss colour that we were given, which was again a Roxy Flossco. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, and obviously you can probably tell that it was a chart designed by Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. So I'm probably going to make this into a little stitching pouch or something similar to take next time I go to Stitch in London. So I finished that. And the other piece that I wanted to finish was my stitching piece from Great British Sampler Weekend. So we had this, which was A. Robson 1897, and we had enough fabric and thread to do either the sampler or the sort of pin mattress. So I decided to do the sampler. And it's stitched in two colours of silk, Soie d'Argent, a red and a green. And so I decided, again, I wanted to get it finished before the new year because I just thought I don't want retreat pieces hanging over from one year to the next. So I finished that one. And yes, I have ironed it, but I would say I've ironed at it rather than perhaps the best ironing. So there we go, let's try again. There we go. So A. Robson. And it was quite a nice stitch to do actually around Christmas time because the border looks very much like holly leaves. And I love the red and green. So I probably will frame this one because it's a lovely stitch. And then I decided to start something on Christmas Eve. I was going to start it on Christmas Day, but I found myself with some time on Christmas Eve that I thought that I might not get on Christmas Day. So I decided to start it. And I had bought myself this kit by Rivaris and it's called Savio kit. Now it came with the fabric, the chart, the spool, everything to make up the stitched piece on the spool, but not the threads. So what I did was I had a look through my overdyes and I picked out threads that I thought would work. And so I started this on Christmas Eve and I sort of stitched on it all the way through to sort of Boxing Day and a bit, I've done a little bit since, but mostly it was kind of over the course of about 3 days. It's stitched up really, really quickly. So I've got a little bit more to do to bring the alphabet over, and there's a bit to go in here and then a little bit over there. So the red is a Roxy Floss Co. I can't remember which one it is. It might be inappropriate actually. The green is English Ivy by Classic Colourworks, and then a few other bits and bobs. I really like that one, and I can't wait to finish it and put it on the spool. It's a 32 count, and the fabric was dyed by Livia Ravaris for this particular project. So hoping for a finish on that one soon. And then I wanted to make sure I started, I think I had already started this by the end of Flossmas. So I borrowed a chart from Patricia Geary, fans of Blackbird Designs Facebook group, called Blessings and Kind Wishes. So this is my working copy, which she suggests or asks you to take a working copy so that you're not working from the chart. Although I have it in my possession, I do have the chart in my possession. So this is my working copy, the chart's upstairs. And this is stitched on a piece of 36 count, no it's not, it's 32 count Fibre on a Whim Latte, which I got as part of the Patchwork Rabbit Fabric of the Month Club. So this is where I've got to. So I've picked out colours which are either the called for ones or ones which look like the chart. It's quite an old chart now. I don't know if I've got the date on the bits that I've got copied. 2008. So I've just matched sort of what I can really. And I need to get this finished because I need to get the chart back to Patricia by the end of February at the latest. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's quite a quick stitch. So there's that. And I also started another one. I started a Blessing sampler. So my Blessing sampler, what is that? So I've just seen a little bit of red on the thing. I think it's a little bit of red thread. Or is it? Oh, I hope it is. Let me just show you. So I started Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery, which is the Jane Austen one, but I'm changing it slightly. I'm not putting Jane Austen at the top and her dates. I'm putting the big cartouche and definitely down to the houses, and I might put the alphabet below because I really like the alphabet on this, but I'm not going to do the box borders around. I'll put a picture up of what it should look like, and then hopefully you'll be able to tell what it is I'm going to cut out. But this is such a pretty stitch, and I'm stitching this with one thread using what do you call it? Oh, Silks for You. One thread of Silks for You, and it's on the same piece of Wood Smoke by Tabby Cat, so 36 count Wood Smoke by Tabby Cat. So the idea is that you stitch this through January, you put the first stitch on January the 1st and the last stitch in on January the 31st. I really do hope that's a little bit of red fluff right there. I can't think what else it is. If not, I'll just have to live with it. That might be the way the year goes. There's just a little bit of red fluff on it. So I have started my new cross stitch Stitchy planner by Laurie. There we go. And I did have a little bit of a count up from last year. So this is where my statistics stand. I started 2023 with 83 whips. I had 57 finishes, and I started, no, 57 finishes, right. As of December the 31st, I've got 91 whips. Last year I had 70 starts and I finished 49 of those things that I started. So I technically had another 21 whips to add. Now, those mathematically of you will notice that 83 plus 21 is not 91. I have UFO'd a few pieces and restarted a few pieces along the way. So that's why the numbers don't quite add up. So this year I am using this planner, and I have also downloaded and put all my information into Teresa Little Stitcher's Excel file, which is fabulous. It's really, really good. Because although I really enjoyed using this, I do like having like an overview of everything. And I had to do quite a lot of sort of going back through this one and tallying up. So that's probably why my numbers aren't quite right as well. I'm not saying that even if I hadn't UFO'd them that the numbers would work out, but we're there or thereabouts. What's a few whips between friends? So yes, I'm going to use this day to day, and then Teresa Little Stitcher's Excel chart as my big overview. Because I do like an Excel chart. I'm a scientist at heart. I do like an Excel chart. I have also downloaded Markup RXP onto my phone, which I don't tend to mark things off when I stitch them, but I do like having kind of my PDFs all organised. And the lesson that I've learned from that is that I have far too many. I have so many PDFs, freebies, things that I've printed off to show you guys, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's all about kind of organisation a bit more this year. We shall see. We shall see. The best laid plans, as they say. Right, I've got some things to show you, some purchases to show you. I've got a little bit of Stitchy kindness. You've had your freebies. They were the Bristol samplers. So let's see what we've got. Let's start off with a new sampler. Now, I warn you, she's not in the best of condition, but she's fabulous. She's fabulous. This is Harriet Humphrey, 1809, and she came out of an attic in Tunbridge Wells. And that's as far as I know. And honestly, the word moth-eaten was made for this sampler, but I hope you can see in her what I can see. So, this is her. Let me come out of the way. Am I showing you? So, condition. A few condition issues. We're obviously missing a corner here, but that's not too bad. I can put in what's missing there. It's a continuation of a border, the continuation of some numbers, so that's not too bad. But the reason I bought it is twofold. I have always wanted a sampler that has got the crowns and coronets on them. So if you're not familiar, all of these different crowns and coronets represent different sort of hierarchy in British society, high society. So V is for Viscount, M is for Marquis, P is for Prince, D is for Duke, E is for Earl, B is for Baron. You see those quite frequently on samplers. Here, GR stands for George Rex. So this is George III, Mad King George III. And he was on the throne at the time, 1809. So the reason these are on here is because when a girl learned to stitch, particularly if she was going to go into service, it would prove that she could do her letters for monogramming clothing and things like that. But very often society would also monogram with the correct coronet or crown that they were entitled to have. Now, it's interesting. I find this sampler interesting because the fabric is very, very fine fabric. So this suggests that the girl who stitched it wasn't necessarily quite your normal run-of-the-mill type girl who was going to be going into service. The family of the girl who stitched this could afford the silks, could afford the better quality fabric. It's incredibly tiny. You've got a row of satin stitch triangles there. You've got mostly cross stitch, but I'm fairly sure, and I need to get a magnifier out, that this stitch here is not a cross stitch. So love this one. It says, opportunity lost cannot be recalled, therefore it is the highest wisdom in youth to make all of the sensible improvements they can in their early days, for a young overgrown dunce seldom makes a figure in any branch of learning in his old days. So it's the use of that word dunce that I love, because I do have Mary Kettle, be not a dunce. Now, totally different kettle of fish, if you forgive the pun. Totally different fabric, much coarser fabric, much bigger. Yes, she was only 8 when she stitched this, and probably this girl was much more likely to be 13, 14, I would suggest. But 2 samplers using that same word I've only ever seen on 2 samplers, that I own both of them, and she urges you to be not a dunce as well. This one is reproduced. I reproduced it for Black Sampler November, so it's in my Etsy shop if you would care to stitch it, and a lot of you have. Just put those back down there. And then in terms of other bits, I have a beautiful piece of Stitchy kindness. The lovely Christina from Whilst Iris Naps and I exchange Christmas gifts and birthday gifts, but she's never stitched for me before. And she stitched me the little jar topper, which is Puntini's little jar topper, or little circular piece, which is actually a freebie. I'll see if I can find the chart and pop it down below. But she stitched that for me. How beautiful is that? Christina, the display suites have disappeared somewhat, mainly because I found the Tunnocks tea cake in the middle, and then a couple of Malteser reindeer and things like that, and quite frankly, yeah. So she stitched for me. If you've seen her Instagram, you'll see I sent her a lovely Christmas ornament, which is made by pottery local to me, and the glaze is lovely. So yeah, but okay, I'm gonna have to stitch for her now. I'm gonna have to stitch for her. I also picked up on a stash unload the 2022 Heart in Hand Collector's Heart, because I've done the 23 one and I really enjoyed it. So that's the 2022 one, and I see that the 2024 one has been released as well. So I picked that up. Fox and Rabbit, I might show that at the end just in case you haven't received yours actually. I went to IKEA today because I was in Bristol, and when in Bristol one goes to IKEA just because you never know quite what you're going to need in there. So I picked up another one of these tins, because anything with a sort of a little divot in it, as far as I'm concerned, deserves to have a stitchy piece in it. So I've already got one, so I picked up another one to mount a piece of stitching in. So that is called that Half Matter. There we go. If you're interested, it comes in 3 different sizes. This is a small one, and there's a medium one, and there's a big one. I also picked up, inspired by Christina, and I've made a couple of jars myself, a big glass jar with the lid, because apparently you have to buy the lid separately for everything in IKEA now, but it also has a divot in the top. So anything with a divot in the top is going to make mounting your stitching much easier. So I thought that with lots and lots of ribbon in it, or reels of cotton, would be beautiful. And my chart arrived, which is the Hands Across the Sea exclusive with traditional stitches, called Anne Johnson. And we were shown this one at the Great British Sampler Weekend. So we were able to pre-order at the Great British Sampler Weekend, and this was sent out this week. Now mine came straight from Nicola because I just ordered the chart. If you've ordered the chart and threads or fabric, it will come from Traditional Stitches in Canada. But I just wanted the chart. It's beautiful. And she also included a little card as well, which has got some stitching on the back. Is it from this sampler? I'll have it. No, it's Harriet Hartland. And then lastly is the Fox and Rabbit fabric of the month. So if you're in the club and you haven't received yours yet, you might want to hang fire and have a look and be surprised. I sent them out. When did I send them out? 3 or 4 days ago, so they should be with you by now. But it's this one. It's called Spinifex, which is a beautiful kind of browny beige, really lovely, lovely colour. So, plans for next week then. I have got lots of work to do on the Stitch in London Sampler Edition, which is, as Ruthie said to me, in just over a month. She's always just over a month now, isn't it? It's like, yes, it is just over a month. So I've got lots to do for that. I would like to get a bit more done on my Blessing sampler, keep that going, and hopefully finish up my East Savio sampler. I think that would be a good start for this month. So I shall see you next week. Stay classy, Stitchers.